During the 1700s, Blackbeard's ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, ran aground at the entrance to Beaufort Inlet and wasn't discovered until hundreds of years later. During an expedition of the sunken ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, something went wrong, but the effects of that incident would not surface until years later, when a barrel of an unknown substance was tossed overboard during the expedition. The barrel took several years to erode, but when it did, that's when all hell broke loose. The substance, oozing out of the barrel on the ocean floor, brought Blackbeard and his men to life as zombies, causing them to become hungry for flesh, and surface to the top of the ocean and head inland for flesh. It was your typical sunny, calm day on the seas, when Dan Spelding and his son were fishing about 100 yards from where the Queen Anne's ship ran aground. All of a sudden, Dan's son Jimmy yelled out, "Dad, I think I caught a big one!" Dad turned the motor of the boat off and tossed over the anchor. Dan ran to the front of the ship to help his son Jimmy reel the big one in, but the big one wasn't a fish. It was something that should have stayed in the ocean. As Jimmy's father took over the reeling in the big one, they noticed air bubbles, lots of them coming to the top of the surface. They didn't think much of them because they were too busy focusing on getting this big fish in. Dan finally got what he thought was a fish to the surface and said to his son, "I don't think this is a fish, Jimmy." "Oh my God, it's a man's body!" As Dan was pulling the man's body onto the boat, the man grabbed Dan's arm and said,
"Yeah, matey, I've been in the sea for a long time, and I'm starving."
Dan looked into the man's eyes and said, "Who are you?"
"That's you, matey. I'm Blackbeard, and my ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, has run aground."
Dan said, "There's no way. You died in the 1700s. Then Blackbeard grabbed Dan by the neck and bit a chunk of the flesh out of his neck. Dan yelled for his son Jimmy to start the boat and get the hell out of here. Jimmy was crying for his father's killer to spare his life, but zombies show no mercy. As Jimmy started the boat, it was too late because Blackbeard's men had climbed aboard, and the smell of Dan's blood just made Blackbeard's men that more hungry for flesh. Blackbeard and two of his men were tearing Dan's clothes off and eating his flesh. The other three men with Blackbeard had cornered Jimmy. Jimmy tried to break free, but the zombie pirates were too strong for him to break their hold. Jimmy had succumbed to the flesh-eating zombies, and Blackbeard and his flesh-eating zombie crew steered the boat toward the inland for more flesh. As Blackbeard and his pirate zombie crew anchored the boat, a curious fisherman on shore came to greet them, only to be part of a tasty zombie meal. A panic-stricken crowd of vacationers ran for their lives, but these flesh-eating zombies were much too hungry for their flesh to let them escape unscathed. Word eventually got out about the pirate zombies, and the army was notified to take care of the situation. That only complicated matters because some of the army soldiers were bitten by the pirate zombies, which multiplied the zombies twofold. Zombies overran the island. The only solution was to drop an H-bomb on the island to destroy the zombies once and for all. The President of the United States gave the go-ahead to drop the bomb on the island at 9 the next morning. The bomb was dropped, but it was too late, because 3 of the zombies boarded a plane that had high-profile people from the island. As the plane was in mid-flight in the sky, away from the bomb's explosions, the zombies' flesh-eating tendencies took over, and everyone aboard the flight, including the pilot and co-pilot, were all zombies. The plane's destination was California, and as the plane landed at Los Angeles Airport, the zombies ran out of the flight, spreading infection like wildfire, ready to infect anyone in sight. Over the next several months, the virus spread to all 50 states, and then to the rest of the world. In the end, alien intervention stepped in from a distant planet known as Xenon and annihilated the world. All that was left from the aliens' destruction of the Earth was lava that erupted from the volcanoes. Not a living soul was left to escape the apocalyptic destruction of the planet. The aliens from the planet Xenon said, "It's all in a day's work." The aliens circled the planet Earth one more time before heading back to our planet Xenon to make sure no survivors were left. To make sure, the aliens blasted the surface a few more times and then flew back to their planet, leaving behind a dying world.